after its NCAA tournament run. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening, I'm Delaney Ruth, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. The number of COVID vaccines administered in the U.S. hit a new daily record as supply continues to increase. White House COVID-19 Director Cyrus released the information today. He says 3.8 million vaccines were administered across the country. It is the fourth time the number of doses has jumped higher than 3 million on consecutive days. According to the White House, the 7-day average for vaccinations is now up 2.62 million shots per day. Ohioans age 16 and older can start signing up to get the COVID-19 vaccine. WOUB's Anna Azalian tells us what you can expect.
Ohio University student Olivia Jamero says she was nervous about side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine, but it didn't stop her from getting the shot once she qualified.
The benefit of getting immunized definitely outweighs the costs of maybe like a few days of not feeling the best.
Jamero says her biggest side effect was arm pain. As for other side effects,
if I wasn't paying extra attention to how I was feeling, I probably wouldn't have noticed it, honestly. So overall, it was like getting a flu shot for me, thankfully.
Athens County has more than 10 locations administering the vaccine. The vaccine clinic here at Heritage Hall has appointments every Tuesday for first dose vaccines and every Thursday for the second dose. To see all available appointments, go to gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov. The Athens City County Health Commissioner says appointments might fill up fast.
Take a deep breath and keep working at it. The appointments will begin to appear again.
He also says they're getting more and more vaccine doses each week. And for Jamero, she was eligible at the perfect time.
So at the rate I'm going, I will be fully vaccinated, like everything taking effect before graduation. So I'm really excited for that, since I did want to do an in-person ceremony for me personally.
The health commissioner says all 3 vaccines currently available are safe and effective, but for 16 and 17-year-olds, Pfizer is the only option. The Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are only approved for those 18 and older. Windy conditions and thunderstorms last night left some Ohioans without power. According to poweroutage.us, more than 100,000 customers lost electricity. Wind gusts more than 60 miles per hour were seen in some parts of the state, taking out trees and power lines. Let's take a look at the weather going into the weekend. Erin?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is forecaster Erin Ashley bringing you today's weather. If you look at the visible satellite image right here, you can see our region is still covered by a majority of clouds. But lucky for us, we are in for some clear skies into tonight and into tomorrow by this patch right here. Right now in Athens, we see a high of 63 degrees. Mostly cloudy skies, but temperatures will drop as we head into overnight with clouds clearing. The winds are coming from the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across our region, we will see very similar temperatures of 63 degrees in Athens, Jackson, and Ripley down in our region, and Ironton 64 degrees with our cooler temperatures of 59 degrees here in Cambridge, 62 degrees in Newark, and 61 degrees in New Martinsville. Our highlights for the next couple days, we will experience very spring-like conditions. This includes mild temperatures and the potential for weekend precipitation. Will we experience some chilly temperatures this weekend and into next week? We'll talk about it more in my forecast, but for now, back to Delaney.
Thanks, Erin. A man who had body armor and weapons outside the University of Kentucky Hospital is now in custody. Police in Lexington say they received a tip on Thursday about an armed and dangerous man visiting a relative in the hospital. Officers say Brian Carroll had weapons on him and they suspected explosive devices were in his vehicle. Hazmat crews searched the UK emergency room while the area around the hospital was evacuated. Bomb squad members used a robot to clear Carroll's vehicle. The FBI and the ATF also responded to the scene to help, and the hospital was able to resume normal operations after 5 hours.
I think, as part of our training every day, we're always preparing for some type of disaster to happen. whether it's in Colorado, Atlanta, or here, anywhere. That's something that officers across the country are always preparing for.
There's no word yet on what Carroll's intentions were or what charges he will face. A man from Buckhannon, West Virginia could spend up to 5 years in federal prison after he set off a pipe bomb. William John Clark was sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined $5,000 yesterday. Clark pled guilty to making a destructive device. He set off the pipe bomb last year outside a house following a verbal disagreement with his neighbor. Colin Wyatt died in an Ohio University off-campus fraternity house in 2018. Since his death, mother Kathleen Wyatt has advocated for local and federal changes about hazing. This month, concerns of hazing resurfaced when Bowling Green State University sophomore Stone Foltz died from a hazing incident. Wyatt is supporting a bill by state lawmakers that would create harsher penalties for hazing and would make it a felony if drugs or alcohol are involved. She is also backing federal legislation sponsored by Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown. This bill will require hazing incidents to be reported in the annual crime report from universities and require the colleges to educate students about the dangers of hazing. A federal judge says there are limits to what West Virginia teachers can post on social media if they want to continue teaching. The Herald-Dispatch reports Huntington High School teacher Mary Durstein filed a lawsuit after she was fired by the school for offensive social media posts. Durstein's lawsuit was dismissed this week, with Judge Robert C. Chambers saying the school district did not violate any of her rights. Her string of 2017 social media posts attacked Black people and Muslims, including former U.S. President Barack Obama. Ohioans may be spending less money on electric after a corporate bailout was struck down. And national changes could ensue following a bill in Georgia. It's facing criticism for restricting voter rights. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence that you know.
We've been thinking about Hemingway for literally decades. You have someone who is often considered the greatest American novelist and has an outsized life.
It's hard to think of a subject that's more iconic than Ernest Hemingway.
Within a few sentences of reading a Hemingway story, you were not in any confusion as to who had written it.
Hemingway can be read as he wanted it to be by ordinary folks. And yet, beneath it is as deep an exploration of art and the human experiences that is just miraculous to me.
He was always questing. The perfect line had not happened yet. It was always a struggle, trying to get it right, and you never will.
He's this big game hunter. He's a deep-sea fisherman. He's this lover. He's a man's man, and all of that was true, but it wasn't completely true.
The way into understanding him is through his relationships with the women in his life. His mother, his sisters, and then the 4 women who he married in succession over the next 40 years of his life.
Ernest and I, really, are afraid of each other, each one knowing that the other is the most violent person either one knows.
In working on the film and delving more deeply into his demons and his struggles, how much his work mattered to him, I came to have a much deeper appreciation for the real Ernest Hemingway.
Finding out more about him was revelatory and shocking, and at some point, you just kind of have to check everything you thought you believed and begin again. We were just not prepared for how complex the story was going to be.
Welcome back. Ohio residents will be relieved to hear that they may be paying less for electricity. Governor Mike DeWine is expected to sign a bill that will eliminate the $1 billion bailout for the state's 2 nuclear plants. This bill would get rid of electricity surcharges Ohioans have been paying since 2019. If signed, the bailout will eliminate because of the nuclear plant's ties to the State House bribery investigation. The plants are located near Cleveland and Toledo. Some eye-catching billboards in Manhattan are trying to convince New York business executives to relocate their headquarters to Ohio. One prominent billboard in Times Square reads, "Your buildings are taller, our taxes are smaller." Following the pandemic, many New Yorkers have thought about moving out of the city to find roomier housing and lower rent. Many of their employers are also thinking about fleeing the Big Apple, so Ohio wanted to take a bite out of that business. Jobs Ohio is behind the cheeky ad campaign. It has received a mixed response on social media.
I want to make sure Ohio is in the conversation, in the consideration of where companies are reconsidering.
Not to pick on New York exclusively, the campaign is also targeting LA, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, Chicago, and Austin. A pay equity bill has been proposed by state Democratic lawmakers. Similar bills have been introduced over the years but have not made it far. Democratic Representatives Jessica Miranda and Stephanie Housie want to try again. The bill would require companies that do business with the state to file a document proving that men and women at their company are paid equally for the same work. It would also mandate state agencies to protect workers who provide information about pay equity and prevent the companies from asking about previous salary information during the hiring process. President Biden calls a new Republican-backed law in Georgia an atrocity. The bill imposing voter restrictions quickly passed both chambers of the state's legislature and was signed by the governor last night. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington on what it means for voters in other states.
The signing of a sweeping Republican-backed election law by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp sparking concern among voting rights advocates. The law, among other provisions, adds new voter ID requirements for absentee voting, limits the number of ballot drop boxes, gives the state more power over local election boards, and makes it a crime to give voters standing in line food or water. Georgia Republicans call it the Election Integrity Act. Georgia Democrats call it retaliation after former President Trump's defeat there in November. Georgia is not alone. As of last month, the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University counted more than 250 bills aimed at restricting voting introduced in 43 state legislatures. Republicans responding to former President Trump's baseless claims about widespread electoral fraud in his 2020 loss. President Joe Biden has condemned the efforts as un-American. Senate Democrats and Republicans are currently at odds over federal voting rights legislation that would set baselines for all states. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
This new law comes a couple days after the U.S. Senate Rules Committee argued over a new proposed legislation that would expand federal voting rights. According to the New York Times, the act passed the House along party lines, and Republicans believe it's a power grab by Democrats.
Today, the Rules Committee held a hearing on the Democrats' proposal to tilt our entire political system on a partisan basis. It would forcibly rewrite every state's election laws in ways that defy common sense and are deeply unpopular with American voters.
Two twins will be celebrating their birthdays 5 days apart after a rarity occurred in Minnesota last month. That story's still ahead.
Clouds clear out overnight tonight, but they will emerge throughout the day tomorrow. Will there be rain tomorrow overnight into Sunday? Find out more with my full forecast, but for now, let's take a look at local stocks of interest.
Scientists brave the icy Antarctic in search of a creature so tiny,
a shrimp-like organism about the size of your little finger,
yet crucial to this entire ecosystem.
They support all this life we see around us.
But they're vanishing, threatening a vast collapse.
We have to understand why.
Researchers risk the frigid waters to solve this mystery beneath the ice on Nova.
Next time, the estimate has skyrocketed for one of these treasures. Do you know which one?
Oh, really?
In 10 sentences, you've told me more than I've ever known about this.
Oh, that's terrific.
Holy cow!
It's a terrific thing to find. You're very lucky.
Wow. Okay, that's great.
Find out which value shot up next time on Antiques Roadshow, Vintage Louisville, Hour 2.
This month in Passport on the PBS Video app, your on-demand library for the best of PBS.
If I'm to make a name for myself, I need as much experience as possible.
Being a detective is a job for a man.
And yet you do it every day, William.
What we experienced is apocalyptic.
We're learning the lessons to not go through that again.
I'm Gustavo Dudamel. Join me in concert at the Hollywood Bowl.
These and other shows are available with Passport on the PBS Video app. Download it today.
I hate the myth of Hemingway. It obscures the man.
His talent is stunning.
He went against the grain.
It's hard to imagine a writer who hasn't been influenced by him.
In order to have something new to write, he had to have something new to live.
And he fell in love quite a few times. He's complex and deeply flawed, but there he is.
Hemingway, the man, is much more interesting than the myth.
Hemingway starts Monday, April 5th at 8, 7 Central, only on PBS.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Erin Ashley. I'm bringing you today's weather forecast. If we look at the hour by hour for tonight, at 8 p.m. we will see 57 degrees. We will see some slight cooling temperatures into 10 p.m. 54 degrees as clouds begin to clear. We will see those clear skies at around midnight, 51 degrees. Tonight in Athens we'll reach a low of 41 degrees with partly cloudy skies, but fear not as skies begin to clear overnight and into tomorrow morning, where we will see chilly temperatures. Winds will be from the west-northwest direction at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across the region tonight, we will see similar temperatures of 41 degrees in Athens, Jackson, 42 degrees in Chillicothe, and way over on the east side of our region, we will see our warm spot of 45 degrees in New Martinsville. Our morning forecast for tomorrow, we have a very chilly start to our day as comparison to the past couple days. 43 degrees at 8 a.m., so be sure to bring a jacket if you have any morning plans at all. At 10 a.m., we will see some quick warming as that 2-hour jump. We will experience 55 degrees at 10 a.m. Moving on to 12 p.m., we will see that increase to 63 degrees as clouds begin to emerge. Tomorrow in Athens, we will see a high of 74 degrees. Clouds will begin to roll in after noon, bringing in that chance of rain in the p.m., so be sure to bring an umbrella. Winds will come from the south-southeast direction at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across the region, we will see those mild temperatures similar to like we have seen the past couple days, spring-like conditions. 74 degrees in Athens. To our east, we see warmer temperatures, 76 degrees in Marietta, 75 degrees in New Martinsville, and cooler temperatures to our north and our west, 72 degrees in Chillicothe, 72 degrees in Columbus, and 71 degrees in Newark. If you look at the jet stream image, you can see this little hot spot right here of strengthened winds, which brought about those high wind advisories yesterday and into today. This jet stream has brought about this low pressure system, but also brought about this high pressure system right here to our area, which accounts for the clear skies that we'll experience tonight. And then also throughout the day tomorrow, a low pressure system is in range, as tomorrow night we are at risk for some precipitation into Sunday morning, as you can see right here with this cold front right here. And if we take a look at our 7-day forecast, tomorrow we have a high of 74 degrees, and on Sunday that drops to 62 degrees with a chance of rain at 70%. That chance of rain will call for a lower high temperature on Monday, 60 degrees. Tuesday will climb to 70 degrees, but on Wednesday it'll bring those chilly temperatures, high of 59 degrees with that chance of rain, 50%. We will see the cool high of this week, 45 degrees on Thursday, 52 degrees on Friday. Back to you, Delaney.
Thanks, Erin. I'm not looking forward to that 45-degree day. A pair of newborn twins in Minnesota will celebrate their birthdays not only on different days, but in different months. Kevin Walland explains.
Chris Perry never dreamed he would be celebrating his 40th birthday today alongside his new baby girl and boy. And his wife Heather never thought the babies she was carrying and scheduled to be born in May would enter the world in this crazy, unpredictable way, days apart.
A whirlwind.
Heather was working in Detroit Lakes in February when
my water broke at 25 weeks.
Heather was hospitalized And days later, out of the blue,
That evening, I woke up feeling a lot of pressure, and I knew she was coming.
Olive, the baby girl, at 28 weeks, was ready to arrive.
We know when they say, get in here, we need to move fairly quickly.
Labor delivery nurses called Sanford's Dr. John Dangerfield, who delivered Olive.
Very quickly, yeah.
That was February 24th, 9 weeks early.
It was scary for sure because she came very quickly.
Just how quickly?
You can push, and I said, okay, you ready? So 3 pushes and she was out.
Baby Olive, 2 pounds, 4 ounces. She came so quickly that Dad missed the birth.
The nurse called me back and she's like, is this Chris? I'm like, yeah. Well, is everything okay? Yeah, yep, congratulations. Your wife just had Olive. I'm like, whoa, okay.
And with baby Olive now out, doctors, nurses, and mom waited for baby Ashton. But there's a problem. He didn't want to come out.
Dr. Dangerfield said, well, he's not coming. I said, okay. He said, so we're just going to wait. And he had his arms crossed. I was like, okay, so we're going to wait.
And wait.
And wait. And wait.
The doctors and nurses waited too for baby Ashton, baby number 2, waiting not for hours, but for days, 5 days. Born March 1st, meaning the twins will celebrate their birthdays in different months.
I went to Google and found out what the world record time was for longest split twin birth, which was 87 days. So I'm like, let's go for the record.
At one point, Heather went into the NICU to hold Olive while still carrying the other twin, Ashton.
I held her every time I would hold her, and he would kick around in my stomach. Like, he just knew that she was up there, but he was enjoying his extra space to sprawl out. And
waiting to welcome the 2 home, big sister Fiona. She's already told the UPS man.
Yeah, it just adds to the story.
Soon, Olive and Ashton will leave the NICU after a dramatic entry into the world.
Yeah, that's going to be a good story to tell at school, and everyone they meet, they can tell that story too, pretty much.
The discharge date for the newborns has not yet been set. It all depends on how quickly the 2 gain the weight they need.
Hi, I'm Curtis Fader, and both the Ohio baseball and softball team will hit the diamond for some action at home this weekend. Those stories and more on Newswatch.
All you have to do is write one true sentence. Write the truest sentence that you know.
We've been thinking about Hemingway for literally decades. You have someone who is often considered the greatest American novelist and has an outsized life.
It's hard to think of a subject that's more iconic than Ernest Hemingway.
Within a few sentences of reading a Hemingway story, you were not in any confusion as to who had written it.
Hemingway can be read as he wanted it to be by ordinary folks, and yet beneath it is as deep an exploration of art and the human experiences that is just miraculous to me.
He was always questing. The perfect line had not happened yet. It was always a struggle, trying to get it right, and you never will.
He's this big game hunter. He's a deep sea fisherman. He's this lover. He's a man's man. And all of that was true, but it wasn't completely true.
The way into understanding him is through his relationships with the women in his life. His mother, his sisters, and then the 4 women who he married in succession over the next 40 years of his life.
Ernest and I, really, are afraid of each other, each one knowing that the other is the most violent person either one knows.
In working on the film and delving more deeply into his demons and his struggles, how much his work mattered to him, I came to have a much deeper appreciation for the real Ernest Hemingway.
Finding out more about him was revelatory and shocking, and at some point, you just kind of had to check everything you thought you believed and begin again. We were just not prepared for how complex the story was going to be.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Curtis Fader. After giving fans a few days to catch their breath, the road to the Final Four continues as March Madness gets back underway tomorrow, starting with the Sweet 16. While Ohio may not be in the fold anymore, there are still some great storylines to follow as the tournament progresses. There have been major upsets in the early rounds, such as number 1 seed Illinois falling in the second round. The most notable run of the tournament is Oral Roberts, who's the second team in history to make the Sweet 16 as a 15 seed. This year's Sweet 16 contains the lowest average seeds remaining in tournament history since it expanded to 64 teams in 1985. As heartbreaking as the Ohio men's basketball team's loss to Creighton was on Monday, there are still some more positives that can be taken from this season. For one, Jason Preston might be adding another award to his cabinet for stellar performance that he's been having this year. Preston has been recognized as the finalist for Lou Henson Award. The award is given to the best player in Division I college basketball playing in a mid-major conference. With what the Ohio junior guard has done this season, he has a compelling case to get it. Some analysts call him the poor man's LaMelo Ball and has warranted attention from numerous NBA scouts. If he returns for his senior season, the odds will be in the Bobcats' favor to run it back and win the MAC title again. After having their 7-game winning streak snapped by Northern Illinois on Sunday, the Ohio softball team had a week to prepare for their 4-game series against Western Michigan. They will look to get back in the win column with graduate transfer Mackenzie Vaughn being on fire this year, already having 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. The first game of the doubleheader today had the Bobcats exploding in the 3rd inning, with Katie Yoon hitting an RBI double with bases loaded, sending 2 runs in, and Analia Paoli sending in the rest with another double RBI. With the Bobcats winning 4-2 in the first game, the second game of the doubleheader is currently in progress. Keeping it on the diamond, the Ohio baseball team looks to get over 500 when they start their 4-game homestand this weekend against Bob Wren against Central Michigan. The team struggled to get out of the gate starting MAC play, only going 1-3, and look to snap their current 3-game skid against the Chippewas tonight. Star-studded starting pitcher Joe Rock is probable to start today and was on the mound for the Bobcats' victory last time, fanning 8 batters in 6 innings with no runs. Rock will have his hands full against Zach Giles, who won MAC Player of the Week last week for the Chippewas, hitting .583 with 10 RBIs in a 4-game series against Dayton. The opening game of the series is currently underway. After suffering a tough double overtime loss to Buffalo last week, the Ohio soccer team will look back into 500 when they take on Bowling Green on Sunday. This match will be the first of the season for the Bobcats that will be played at Chesa Field, with the team playing their first 2 home games in Peden Stadium. The change to playing surface will be a factor, and according to Aaron's forecast, the match could be a sloppy one on Sunday. Forwards Shea Robertson and Abby Townsend have been a dynamic duo for Ohio, combining for 3 goals and 2 assists through 5 games for the Bobcats. Now, I'm Curtis Fader, and that's all for sports for now. Back to you, Delaney.
Well, here's hoping the Bobcats get the wins this week. Thanks, Curtis. A bright light show dazzled above people in the Pacific Northwest last night. But what was the long streak of lights that slow danced in the sky? Scientists say it was caused by debris from the Falcon 9 rocket coming back down from orbit. The rocket was supposed to burn up over the ocean south of Australia, but it failed to do that. SpaceX launched the rocket on March 4th. And in Ohio, we might not have been able to see the light if it wasn't because it's been so cloudy lately. Right, Aaron?
Absolutely correct, Delaney. Luckily for us, we will catch a break tonight in the cloudy weather, but tomorrow clouds will begin to roll in again, as you can see right here. Tomorrow we will experience a high of 74 degrees with partly cloudy weather, and then those clouds rolling in will bring a chance of rain in the PM and overnight. Winds will come from the south-southeast direction at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Across our region, we are experiencing very mild temperatures of mid to low 70s across the entire region. And then if you look at the 7-day forecast right here, you see mild temperatures at the start of the week, and at the end of the week, you will see chilly temperatures. Back to you, Delaney.
Thank you, Aaron. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Delaney Ruth.